Good morning, everybody. Today we're speaking with Luke Castillo on Instagram as an altered state. I'm very excited, very new to being an artist. So, yeah, still excited. Being an artist is being an artist in my eyes, and we have to start somewhere. And to be fair, his portrait work is just, it's beautiful. It's got a really nice style. Can't wait to hear more about his journey and the things that he wants to accomplish, because I think once we all dedicate ourselves properly to our artistic oh, here he is now. Thank goodness. I've just lost everything there. Good morning. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited about this morning. I can't tell you.
Me too.
So yeah, basically, if we can just start with an introduction from you and your background, your artistic background, and then we'll kick it off.
Cool. So my name's Luke Castillo, and I have an Instagram for my art at the moment called An Altered State. I was living in East London for, God, probably about a year and a half, but I've lived in London all of my life, but have now relocated to Spain. So I'm currently in lockdown in Spain at the moment,
Oh
hence the
my
new
gosh.
plan.
See on your Instagram the other day, on your private one, I was like, he has a pool. Because it was quite quiet there, and I was like, I need to hang out with this man.
Yeah, imagine I was just in England, just like, oh yeah, this is my pool in England.
I was like, this is like a fabulous lockdown this person is going. I feel very blessed as well. I have a lovely garden and a nice park that I
Yeah.
can do my hour exercise in. But I looked at your pool and I was like, either he has gone on holiday somehow, or he's got a pool in England, and that's something, you know?
I snuck underneath a truck and have just been drawing underneath it ever since.
Exactly. So you sneaky, you sneaky. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just
No,
had to say
no,
that.
no.
Anyway,
So yeah, so I've kind of just I've always been into art and always wanted to kind of dedicate myself to doing more portrait work. But I started off in fashion actually for 7 years. I went to London College of Fashion. Was a super stubborn child when I was at art college, and my tutor had said to me, you need to apply for London College of Fashion. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to Leeds. I definitely don't want to do that. And he was like, no, you're going. I was like, there's no point. I'm not going to get in. Like, it's so prestigious. Like, there's just no point. And me, in my stubborn ways, decided to put down London College of Fashion on all three of my applications. So I couldn't go anywhere else. Managed to go to my interview and actually got into all of my degrees, all three of them.
well,
So then I was like, okay, cool. So I guess I'm not going to Leeds anymore. I'm going to London College of Fashion, and did a degree in fashion styling and photography. Going there, not having any idea at that time what a stylist actually was, and just realizing that I was a creative person, and I knew that I wanted to put things together, and I knew that I had a stylistic eye for something, but I just didn't know what my point of view or my pinpoint was at that time.
yeah.
Um, then managed to actually get a job the day that I graduated. I went for 2 interviews and got my second job. Got called on the day that I was meant to be going to be actually graduating, and was sitting in the chair, and said, you got the job and you're starting tomorrow. So straight out of uni, started my first job, started working for Attitude magazine.
Oh wow.
Um, didn't realize what a massive magazine it was. And obviously being a gay man as well, I was just like mind blown at this point. So I was like totally, my creative juices were like, oh my God, I really am into this. Like, I love it. Like, I don't know where I can go from this, from not knowing what a stylist was to being a second assistant to the fashion editor of Attitude magazine was like wild. It was just crazy. So then started working with the Saturdays and Girls Aloud, and started going on loads of editorial shoots and going to France and shooting like loads of editorial campaigns. I then started, I then was in talks of going to meet with another stylist, because I had worked kind of for a year and a half and really worked my ass off at this time, and had been working at Ann Summers at the same time, because it was the only place that I could work, because my hours were so late, and it just meant that I could work so early in the morning to do my styling job. Went to have an interview with Duffy's stylist at the time, and during my interview she was like, so I decided that I actually don't want to be a stylist anymore. So I was kind of like, right, okay, so I don't really know where that leaves me at this point. And she'd asked me who my inspirations were, and I had told her, and one of my inspirations as a stylist was Alison Elwyn, who used to do a lot of work for Margaret Howe at Fashion Week. And she used to head a lot of shows, and the stylist turned around and said, that's my best friend. She then put me in contact with her, and I started with her the week after, and was with her for 5 years as her first assistant.
I'm giving you a round of applause. Like, what a phenomenal start to your careers, all of them. Like, that's fantastic. Sorry, again.
Yeah. And then, so I'd been going on a lot of tours and working and like creating more clothing and stage wear for like the Brits, and then decided that I wanted to give it all up. I was on a Dove commercial one day and just said, do you know what? I'm going to retrain. I'm going to become a hairdresser. It's something I've always wanted to do. Don't know why. I think I had that like 7-year itch situation where you know when the moon changes. And then had gone out partying with one of my friends, and she was like, why don't you come and work for this brand of Ada? I've been there for 7 years. So I was like, great. Went to have my interview, and it just happened that I was actually living next door to the person that was interviewing me's sister. So then she was like, yeah, you can have a job. So I was like, okay, great. And then from there, my career in hairdressing just kind of spiraled. I ended up on the pro team, and I was still doing a few commissions at the same time, especially when I graduated from hairdressing. What I'd done was I did illustrations of all of my haircuts. I then put them onto postcards and gave them to all of the people that were at the show. So it kind of looked like I was combining my fashion with my illustration to kind of come up with this experience that someone would walk in and feel like they weren't in a hair salon. And it was kind of like they were at kind of like a fashion week. I'd based it on Fifth Element. And I just wanted them to have a different experience, and just adding my art into that, I feel like was just a nice touch, a little niche that I could give.
Unique. Yeah, that's a really nice, because I am someone who quite enjoys sort of takeaway things, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for everything to be free, but something to take away. And the way that you, obviously hair to me is, and like black hair is the most phenomenal hair on the planet. It just does so much cool stuff. But when you're taking what you create in someone's hair that's already an art, and then make it into this cute little, like it's a cute thing, like it is. It's not cute like, oh, like a kid, but it is. It's really cool. That's awesome. And what a nice introduction for everyone.
It just took me so long to kind of find what my point of view was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think as artists, you are trying to work out, you either have something straight out away and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to stick with and this is what I love. But I definitely had that, but I think just kind of training my fluidity and my own point of view was something that took a lot of time, because I am such a jack of all trades, and I like to call myself master of none because I like to dip into so many different things. That I could never focus fully on what my style was, especially when it came to painting. And then I found watercolor, and I was just like, it has that fluidity for me, and I can go anywhere with it. And it just made my life so much easier, especially the fact that I was working with hair and doing my clients, that I could do that in the hair. And I'm not saying that my style is the most realistic, but for me, it's capturing the moment of my client and turning it into something that they can kind of recognize themselves, but at the same time, I haven't lost myself in the art as well.
Yeah. I must say, portraits to me are terrifying. I literally the other day, and I'd run a Sunday life drawing class. You should join us if you fancy it. We just all run house party and draw an image I send out. But I actually drew the image upside down because I'd heard, like, if you just keep messing it up, do it upside down, then you pay more attention. Upside down, I was like, no, this can't look like this person. I turned it around and I was like, and it was like a time where it legit looked like the person. It wasn't like a really nice attempt at a drawing of that person. So when I found your art, and it was, I was so excited it was portraits, because I'm always so excited how you guys develop a style, because it's already...
It's there, isn't it?
It's not like a vase, you know, you can throw different styles on vases. It's like, no, it's got to look like that person. But I do love that you capture these moments where it feels like that person's in a chat with you. And because all people that I know are close to you are your clients, and being a hairdresser / therapist, hello, you know all the dirt.
Literally.
These people are in such a trusting position in these portraits. I find them really open, and like they literally like mid-laugh or, you know, mid-thought of sharing something like properly deep with you. And I think it's so lovely that you're a hairstylist, because it's that closeness that I equate to, like, my hairstylist, bless him, he's a lovely straight boy. He does a wonderful cut. Don't judge him on Corona. Fantastic, but like there's no chit-chat. It's not like the girl hairdressers, or if I've gone to a hairdresser, like, just no. He's just like, like a man. Or, and there's, so I do get, like, there's that stereotype. But with your hairdresser, that's a lifelong...
Of course.
Like, I don't me again. I don't give a shit. Just cut my hair when you cut it, and you're not cool. It would be lovely to like have a bit of banter.
I literally can't help myself with it. Like, even if I have like a new client, if I connect with you straight away, I'm like, okay, me and you together, we're there for life. Like, that's cool. Like, I still talk to my clients on Instagram and stuff, and still message them and stuff. And that's kind of what my gift to them right now is. Like, obviously it's like turbulent times and stuff. And it's like, well, I appreciate the fact that you've been my client for this a period of time. I just want to give something back to you as a little homage, because we've had such a good connection. So hopefully I just don't mess up your face when I'm drawing. Like, I haven't messed up your hair.
No, they're fantastic. It's really, really nice. Sorry, nice. I'm trying to stop using that revolting word. It's so fantastic when you can relay something so personal through something that's really quite difficult for a lot of people. Like portraiture, it's I think something that you innately have, or you're so passionate about. You work through your horrific phase where no one looks like who you're doing.
The mouths are like this.
The eyes. I mean, sometimes the ear, and I'm looking at them like, why does the ear line up with that eyeball on there? But on my page, I'm like, it's going to start again. So, it's interesting as well. Running a live drawing class is like having the model there, obviously not now because we're in lockdown, but like actually drawing what you see versus what you are trained to think, the eyeball, you know, and for you to capture an emotion with that, I think to be fair, with your nudes lately, I must say, like, they're quite a different style. I feel they're a little darker, but it's not. So
Yeah.
you're still getting that real raw emotion of that physical, like it's quite like, I'm going to go to one of them if you don't mind.
No, of
But
course.
it's quite, if I can just show you guys, like to me it's, you know, there's no face, there's no sort of emotional connection, it's just raw. This is sort of the naked form. And then actually, if I just sneak in to go to show you one of these beautiful portraits, I mean, this one is one of my best. I just feel like you're really talking about something hysterically funny to both of you. Maybe you're not, but I get that kind of feeling, and it's really quite beautiful. And you keep that sort of, I'm enjoying the newer stuff, the last two
Yeah.
posts that you've done. Like, I'm excited to see more of how you explore that stuff. But the portraits of those people you really care about they're fantastic. They're really, really cool.
I think I just became like, from obviously being at uni, I did my dissertation on the male gaze and how women are objectified through fashion throughout the years. And it's something that really stuck with me and was like, has super resonated for me, especially then going into hairdressing and wanting to create something beautiful, not just for the man to be looking at. It's that whole juxtaposition, isn't it, of, is a woman dressing for a man, or is she dressing for herself? Is she dressing to be seen as a certain thing, or is she doing it because she wanted to feel empowered? So I feel like the work that I posted, like in the last two, especially the fact that it has some nudity in it, it has sex appeal too, because she's got the boots on, which kind of are a little bit raunchy, but at the same time, her pose is quite sensitive, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I feel sense of power in that pose as well. Like it's very open. She seems quite
Exactly.
confident as well. And I think what's nice is nice. Word, I'm beating it out of my brain. What I find to be so interesting, especially when you're doing nude stuff, in dealing with nude people who pose nude models, I almost can't take them seriously when they're dressed. I feel a bit weird. I'm just so used to like sort of dealing with you, sounds a terrible term, but you know, when we're talking, I'm just like, you've got clothes on. It takes a few minutes for me to more align, like, oh, hello, person, because you just don't, you lose the fact that it's a naked person. You know,
Yeah.
everyone gets a bit that's like, oh, you do art because it's no, you don't even think. You're like, okay, that ass cheek, is that in line with that elbow? It becomes a thing, not a, like you say, there's I'm sure a few perverts around the world.
I think it's just because we've got so used to seeing it on TV and stuff like that, of like hen parties going and doing it, and they're like, penis, and you're like, okay, cool.
No, it is strange. As an artist, it really is something that is a topic to discuss. It's such a normal thing, like a pair of scissors would be in your other world. You know, it's like something that's a big part of almost all of our studies. We've all, at one point or another, done figurative stuff, done portraits, or at least attempted them, still on the road. But yeah, it's a fantastic way to express all that thing that you say empowers the femininity in, like, how are you actually behaving though? Like you say, are you dressing for him or for yourself? And
Exactly.
I also don't think there's necessarily anything wrong dressing for him if
No.
that's necessarily your partner. But I think dressing in general to appease a sort of faceless mass of men, which can be sort of construed, men can be cruel, you know what I mean? Or they are represented as being quite cruel. I don't think men really care. They're quite simple creatures. And I mean, we're crazy. I think they're all stupid and we're crazy, but you know, that's a whole different conversation we can have. But yeah, I find it like it's such an individual thing, your body, you know, how you build it, how you love it, how we're told all the time that this is sexy or this is whatever, and you have to look like that. And I'm so enjoying the body positivity and the feminine positivity, you know. Masculine's been hyped for a long time, but it's become a really toxic thing where I feel like men are so much more mindful than we give them credit for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Create environments where we all feel safe to be mindful and safe to be sensitive. Like I can come across very masculine at times, and I'm like, no,
You don't have to be like that. You can be feminine. It's okay. But I do
I think
struggle with
that's
that.
the exciting thing, though, isn't it? Like the fact that you do have that empowerment. Like when you actually speak about female empowerment, like it's on such a broad scale that
So
it can be taken in so many different directions, and it's just wild. And like that's why I love that argument of the whole male gaze situation, because it's like, who is right? We'll never get. It's like the chicken and the egg situation. You would never know. You'd speak to one woman and she'd be like, oh, I definitely dress for myself. Or then you speak to another and she'd be like, well, no, I feel more secure dressing this way because I kind of want to blend in. But then blending in at the same time, is that an empowerment in yourself because you've decided that? There's like, it's so broad. And that's why I love drawing it, because it's like exciting.
it is beautiful. And as a kind of piss take, I do feel like we should really look at ourselves during lockdown and see what we've been wearing. And just
Oh my
really,
God.
are you dressing for yourself or are you dressing for everyone outside? Because some of us have been wearing some. I have worn some hippie things that I'm like, damn, were you in the dark this morning when you got dressed? But you're at home all day. As a piss take, I'd like to see, like, how often did you? I mean, I love putting on earrings for these, and that's all I really do. I'm just like, oh, hello, another person. And I get to choose, and I'm like, oh, this is so much fun. And like, that's when I really know, I'm like, okay, you really do have a thing for like really nice clothes. Like you really enjoy part of your life.
I'm the same with my jewelry. I'm like, this morning I was like, oh, it's quite hot outside, but I was like, I haven't worn these in ages. Like, I need to wear something. I need to feel a little bit normal. Come on, like, this is wild.
Exactly. And I mean, we've been taught to express our individuality through fashion and through our hair for so long that it's really a thing. People in America are mad as hell. They're like, open the hair salon or I'm going to blow everything up. And I'm like, oh my God. And they're not really concerned with everything else. They're like, we need a barbershop and we need a hair thing. And I'm like, you guys are really obsessed with. I get it. Take care of your body and your hair, and of course, do makeup if it makes, if it does your thing. But to be that obsessed where it's like, let me go get a disease that I could potentially die from, or pass it on to others.
Because I need to cover my roots. Like, it's mind blowing. It really is mind blowing. Like, even to the point of like fringes and stuff like that. I remember watching a program the other day, or it wasn't even a program, it was the news the other day, and the hairdresser had shown how to cut a fringe or cut something, and I was like, oh my God, okay, so half of me was a little bit like, okay, so this is my profession, don't go and tell everyone what they need to do, so they're never going to come back. But then at the same time I was like, so maybe they should, or I don't know, are they meant to do it themselves?
That's such a weird thing. At this time, it's like, how many people are giving away so much of their career online for nothing? And that's also another really interesting thing, like you bring up. Like, I don't want you guys to know all the things that we do.
This is the thing.
There's years of studying behind it. Like, okay, cool. 2 minutes to do a fringe, it looks easy. You can't add in all that other stuff.
No.
And I'm really hoping that after this, people will sort of appreciate the things we took the piss out of, you know what I mean, and start to pay it forward a bit, because people have been so giving in this time. And when it comes, I hope we don't start going, well, oh, it was free. It's a pandemic.
I do think we're going to forget about it very, very quickly. Like, us as humans, we have this ability to just switch off very quickly. As soon as, like, we're allowed back out, it's just going to be like, okay, cool, so we're back here again. It's a crazy time. I'm, like, really conscious now of even just, like, I had been seeing, because obviously everyone's at home, I've been seeing everyone posting, like, their artwork and, like, their processes and stuff, and I'm a bit like, maybe I should do that so that I can get, like, more interaction on my page. But then I'm like, but this is my personal process.
And that's
something to me. Like,
that's a very private.
Personal,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do love to I love to watch street art and graffiti. So I love to see the build up, the
Yeah.
processes and stuff. But like you say, there should be things, you know, privately that you keep to yourself as part of your process. And not knocking anyone who shares all
Oh
of
God,
their
no,
process.
no, no, not at all.
Because it's like a performance art almost. You're kind of laying bare your process, and
Yeah,
people can walk in and try to recreate it, of course. But there is, yeah, I get what you mean. It's like I want to keep a little of how I made
yeah.
this to myself, you know what I mean? Because it's special. It's like your soul on a piece of paper. People
Cool.
take the piss all the time, like, I could do that. And it's like, maybe. But like, you're taking like one painting out of this person's entire career. You've no idea
Yeah,
the million hours and
exactly.
fucking frustrations and throwing stuff across a room. So yeah, it's quite incredible as an artist to look at people who don't do and think they can, and it's like, that's cute.
I
So,
remember when I first started doing portraiture because one of my really close friends is a singer, and I've cut her hair a couple of times. She's got this amazing mass of textured hair, and she was wearing this. It was like this really ornate necklace, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing! Like I could do some like drip art on it and like really make it super cool. Like did the painting, got to her mouth, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've ruined it. I can't go back from here. Like, I always thought when I was in fashion, like, I remember sitting at the sewing machine, and there was a time when I didn't realize that I had to get some outfits made by the next day for Paul O'Grady. And I remember sitting up until like 6 in the morning sewing and literally seeing bunnies running around the room because I was like, my head was gone. And I was like, oh, what if I do art? Like, I'm never going to feel that frustration ever. And then that moment, I was like, okay, I feel it. Like, is there nothing that you can do where you just feel like, this is so easy. Like, I'm doing my hobby and I'm like taking this seriously and I'm doing this nice and like really trying to put myself out there. No, no, I still had that moment and I'm still sure that I'm going to have yet more.
yeah. And I mean, I must say, the next thing that I want to ask you, I'm so glad that you started like that, because what has been your sort of proudest moment so far?
I
Because I
think,
don't think you stop and celebrate enough along the way, and you're kind of still in the beginning part, I
yeah,
feel, of your career, but you're
I
so
think,
established creatively that it feels like you're an old soul at this already.
yeah, I mean, I've been really thankful because I only started my Instagram page for An Altered State. I think it's like a week ago now. And I think it was like my scariest and proudest moment at the same time because it was like I was actually decided that I was going to put myself out there. And like most of my friends and my colleagues and stuff kind of knew that I dabbled in drawing. And obviously, if anyone had come to see my show, knew that it was something that I was interested in, but actually like laying yourself bare and being like, okay, so I've actually decided to open this and dedicate that that's the only thing that's going to go on there, has nothing to do with any of the hair things that I've been known for. And I was just like, oh God. But at the same time, super excited because it was like, I've had so many people message to say that they really enjoy the work and they think it's amazing and they think it's really beautiful. It just feels like quite humbling because it's like, I haven't had to put myself out there on a different platform for a really long time. So to allow myself to share that not only for other people but for myself was a really important thing. And I didn't expect it. Like I didn't ever expect that I would be doing commissions for people from it or getting money. Do you know what I mean? Creating some sort of revenue. It was something that I just kind of wanted to put out there because I really enjoyed doing it, and people saw that they thought that my work had something to it. That now I'm getting so many commissions that I'm like, okay, cool. Where do I take this? Where do I go with this? And how do I expand on what I'm doing at the moment? So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really very, very cool. And you kind of answered my next thing. What was your scariest moment? But yeah, we just launched our YouTube platform, and it wasn't something that I had intended to do necessarily. It was like, yeah, maybe we'll do that one day. But it's been so nice to upload these chats after we've been able to record them and just look at the little followers, and like it's cool getting like very slowly, but it's exciting. It's nice to get those little messages of validation from people like, I really enjoyed this, or insight, and it's just a nice feeling, like you say, to not just sort of have, your friends and family and colleagues, might know, but it's those strangers that love your stuff or share it, that, it does make you feel good. It's definitely a step in a confident direction.
Absolutely. It's just exciting times. It's like perfect time for anyone right now to kind of look into themselves and see what it is that they actually like to do. Because we lose ourselves so much in the mundaneness of like going to do our 9-to-5s and not really knowing if that is what you like doing. Like a lot of us have gone to uni, or if you haven't, or studied certain things or got certifications, and at that time that was something that you wanted to do, but then when you actually get into the job, you're like, I've lost myself.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times in my career that I felt like I've lost myself, and every time I've felt that I've lost myself, I've had to move on. So I feel like this is like a perfect opportunity for everyone to realize what it is that they're actually searching for, because we're constantly searching for something and never happy.
Yeah, 100%. If people are not taking this time seriously to do something, okay, fair enough, your home needs to be a safe space to be able to do this. I do understand that. But to take some real time, because even that, is your home a safe space?
Yeah.
Is your partner, in fact, an asshole?
Yeah.
Were you just a bit lonely before Corona, and now you're like, please don't breathe anymore? And some people are doing fantastically. They're open, beautiful communication between them and their partners. But I do think to myself, like my sister and I always fight to have a garden. And in London, it means our house costs a lot of money to rent every month. But we make sure we have to have a garden. Being South African, we have to be outside.
Yeah.
So now everyone's like, oh, your garden. And we're like, yeah, how's that house where you live with 19 people, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you only pay like 20 quid a week or something. Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's an investment in, having a studio space, having a garden, making sure that my home is my castle. I don't care what's happening outside. This is the world I can immediately affect. So I'm going to make it as pretty as possible. Like, our mission is to have an Instagrammable house. Not for Instagram, but like that's the joke we make. Like, let's just leave the kitchen so that I could bring a camera crew in here. Yeah. And it would be a problem. I don't want, like, I get it. We have a big meal, leave some dishes, but make your surroundings beautiful. Put art up. Like, your TV is a focal point in every English home, and you look around and the walls are sort of bare. You're like, guys, there's a whole world of creatives out there dying. Like, there's art on every spectrum for everyone, and I'm really glad we have this new platform to celebrate what you do, and hopefully we'll see more posts and stuff. I know it's a brand new Instagram and it's in its infancy. It's really, really, like, it made me feel very happy. Like, those moments you captured they feel like I'm in a stolen moment of a friendship. They feel really intimate, and your watercolors are, like you say, that fluidity. And even when you speak, it's been so nice that, how you've been on the phone is exactly the same as you're being, as you are. Because I find that some people can get a bit shy, or it's just like, I've known you forever. I love to find people like that, where it's just like, oh, that was great. I went to my sister after I first chatted with her, and I was like, I love him. I phoned Emma, the lady who introduced me to wonderful Luke, and I just phoned her and I went, you are a fucking legend. Hello. Like, hello, Rickylee. I'm like, yes, I just spoke to Luke. She's like, isn't he divine? And I'm like, oh, he's so lovely. And like, no smoke up your bum. I don't have to, but you really are just So it's been really nice to see it's been really great to see that support from someone I trust with my
Yeah.
life. I trust Emma with my life easily. She will go to war with you.
Oh,
It's no,
absolutely.
Emma's ride or die. So yeah, it's great to have someone recommended and then to connect so deeply with the work and put myself in that position and be like, oh, my hairdresser doesn't talk to me. But like you even made me ever think like, huh, we're gonna need to build some emotional connection. I want you to paint me.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you come out of lockdown, you'd be like, so I'm just sitting here for like poses that I felt that you
Yeah,
needed to
I
capture
said,
me in.
because you're gonna have to paint me. He'll be like, what? I'll be like, I'm used to a better level of hairstylist now. Thank you very much. But do you feel now that you've sort of dedicated that focus that you're finding, is it more daunting to create now or you're just more excited?
It's a bit of both, to be honest, because some of the commissions that I've been getting have been, well, actually all of them. So all of the commissions that I've been getting have been like really personal things to the people that are asking me for them. So I guess it's a representation of what the work that I put out there in the first place is, and that's the reason that they've come and asked for them. So I've had a lot of people asking for animals or their animals, which obviously people love their animals, which has been a learning curve for me to get my head around because that's not necessarily something that I adhere to. But I still have the same mentality when I'm trying to do those images of the animals, because it's like, well, they kind of see them as people as well.
Yeah.
And they have characters and personalities, so there isn't any difference. So it took me a little while for me to actually get my head around that part. Because at first I was just like, I'm just drawing a dog.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay, cool. No, this one is definitely different to this one. I can see a different expression on this one. I can actually maybe relate that dog to a human, which again is another weird thing.
Have you had a thing where there's a person that looks kind of like their dog yet?
Not even a person, but it was, the dog looked like a pop star. And I was like, oh, okay. And then when I got that into my brain, then all I kept on seeing was the pop star. And then I was like, oh, this is making this painting so much easier for me to do because I'm relating it to the human. So it's fine.
Yeah, and to be fair, like obviously during lockdown, like I love a dog or cat video. Like they're so much fun. They're better than hearing all the doom and gloom. So I love getting lost in a little bit. And they're just fantastic. You see, and anyone thinks animals don't have personalities. Just watch two huskies bitch and moan because they can't go for a walk for like 25 minutes. You're like, I must move on from this video. But like these dogs are just like bitching and complaining, and you're like, that's definitely a human thing they're doing. Really, they have personalities. It's really cool.
Did you ever watch that video where I think it was a husky had lost his owner and had gone to the graveyard and was like wailing and crying?
Oh, my heart
That
broke.
was
And
like wild.
sides of her mouth.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
Yeah, no,
I've also been doing like commissions for people that have unfortunately lost relatives in this time. So obviously that's a super powerful thing for someone to have asked me to do, but it's a lot of added pressure at the same time, because obviously when I'm doing my own, I have my own pressures because they're my friends and my clients. So I'm like, oh, I really want to do a good job for them. But then when it comes to this circumstance, I'm like, oh God, I want to do an even better job because I want to do this justice. And I think that's quite a difficult thing at the moment. That's the only thing that I'm finding with the commission on those kind of things, because you want to put your heart and soul into it. And then when I show the final image, I don't want them to kind of be like, well, that doesn't really look like them.
No, I really think you need to just acknowledge that terrible thought and let it move on, because I think really, I get it. The pressure is like super on. I know I sound so easy over here. Like, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. But I really feel like the fact that someone's come to you as well means there's something already inherently in you that they really feel will give them the best image of their loved one, and that already is a beautiful compliment. So I think you're going to do amazing. I mean, you'll be in your head about it. You're an artist. What can I do? I can't control that.
Like in a saboteur.
Yeah, exactly. No, we've been talking quite a lot about that, like inner monologue, and I'm trying my best to work on being more mindful and working with a mindfulness coach to just, because my friend asked, was quite good on our chat. He's like, what if the negative thoughts, though, are there all the time? And then you have to go to work and you come home. And he said, well, they are going to be there all the time. But it's like you have to be like, hey, off you go. And then go back to what you're doing. And that's been incredibly helpful for me. I mean, the meditation part, I'm still like, I'm nowhere near as dedicated as I should be. But the acknowledging those useless things that don't serve me, that don't drive me forward, like thinking I'm going to be absolutely crap at something and I pick it up and I'm like, oh, it was half the time to do and I did it really well. Why did I?
Yeah.
So, and it's because of this, like in here, like, oh no, you're not good enough, or do it tomorrow because it's hard. And
procrastination is like the worst thing, and the worst thing in the whole entire world.
Oh, and I could do it as an Olympic sport. I'd be like,
mate, so could I. So could I.
I'm actually using my little sister as a jealous driving force in my life right now. She has her shit way more together than me, and I'm like, no, I can't have this. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, yeah, dude, I've just seen your bedroom. It looks amazing. I'm going to actually like maybe think about my room and put some effort in. And now it's amazing. Like, I'm like living life, but it took months to do that. And I'm so glad we had a bit of a time to be in our homes, because it's so much better to just do things that you want.
I think it's just about you doing you, isn't it? As well. Because like I remember when I was at uni, like obviously we had like sketchbooks and stuff that you had to bring in, and obviously going to London College of Fashion, it was like so competitive. So there would be times where you would go into to uni and be like, oh, so have you done any work? And you'd be like, no, I haven't. But at home, you're like vigorously sketching and doing all of this work, and then you come in for the crit and you'd have this abundance of work, and they'd be like, I thought you said you didn't do anything. I thought you said you didn't do anything. And I remember looking at people's sketchbooks and being like, oh my God, I wish that, like, even to the thing of like handwriting, I had a friend at university called Diana Lee, who you should check out, because she actually has this, she has a business called Take, Make, Create. So it's actually creating situations where kids can come together and like get like old things, like old household appliances or like things that she's picked up, to create something rather than them just sitting at home doing nothing. She kind of just wants them to have a more creative mindset. And it's so funny that you say that thing about nice. If she speaks to her the kids that she's working with, and she says to them, so how do you feel? Why do you feel? What's the word that you can describe that makes you feel something about what you couldn't do or what you've achieved? And if they're like nice, she's like, no, you need to use another word, because what does that word actually mean to you? And I remember looking at her sketchbook and looking at her handwriting, and I was like, why can my work not just be as fluid as hers? Like, she's got like these little 10-minute sketches that she'd just do, and then like the ink would spill on her page, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is who I want to be. Like, and then I'm like sitting there painstakingly, like looking at my work, like drawing it out, and then trying to add a little scribble somewhere just to be like, yeah, I'm so like fluid and so about this life. In reality, I'm like, no, it needs to be perfect. It needs to look exactly how I need to. Like, I can't even get out of that rigid moment of like just letting go. And I think that's the one exciting thing, that as I've got older, especially with the watercolor situation, that I've been allowed to just be like, yes, this is it. Like, and really looking at someone's face as well. Like, I remember like when you think of like doing portraiture and stuff, a lot of the time, especially when you're coming up as an artist, you just be like, okay, so they have one skin tone, and yes, they may have shadows in this area, but I'm just going to do it a darker color of the same skin tone. Whereas now I don't see it like that. And it's like, okay, so I'm looking at a picture and I'm like, there's purple in there, there's green in there, there's blue in there, even though it might be white skin, or it might be tan skin, or it might be black skin. And that has like turned my world around, and that has been a driving force to allow me to put this work out there, because I definitely have evolved and changed of how I saw myself and how I actually put pen to paper. It's definitely different compared to what you would have seen when I was doing that mouth with the lovely ornate necklace.
And I know that you are very sort of, when you go into your 7-year itch and you ditch career and start brand new, you seem to follow a really kind of a proper path. You go and you study it and you end up, but I like with your artwork that it isn't that you've been trained in a way. Artists do not regret going to art college or to art school, but they say how it took them so many more years to kind of smash through a lot of that stuff to find the style. So as I'm not formally trained, I mean in high school, yeah, but not after, I'm finding my confidence is building a little bit more all the time, because I'm like, there's a lot of people who found their style by actively rejecting everything that they learned.
Absolutely.
But then obviously they say to me, you know, there's great things like color theory, and then it's, you know, but then it's looking at art and, like you say, really just look at it. They are green and blues, and it's all incredible when you pay attention.
It's so subjective art, isn't it, though? Like,
exactly.
Someone could love what you do and someone can hate it. As long as it's something that's personal to you and you love it, it's kind of like, it's a given. Like, it's something beautiful for you. Like, obviously, if we, as artists, if we want to take it that further and make it a real career and start making money from it, you have to obviously take different avenues and really pinpoint what it is that you're trying to do. And I think that's what I'm doing now. Like, as we spoke before, and I've decided that I think I want to take it, kind of merge the whole creative aspect of it being hairdressing and styling all into creating textiles of the images. So making the images and turning them into small digital prints and then replicating them and then putting on sheer fabric and or textiles. So I think now is like a really good time for you to learn to like evolve what your art is. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I may even take just parts of my painting that I really like. It doesn't actually have to be the full face or the full portraiture, and just, oh, I really love this bit. This bit could really work if I blew it up massive, and then just put it onto a piece of fabric and then sent that off and got that made for someone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's just so many more aspects of it that I want to go down, rather than me trying to be rigid like I was before.
Yeah, and also like using different mediums as well. That's fantastic, because like you don't want to be pigeonholed, but there is a thread and a connection from everything you've done. Like, I can sense now more than before. But what's really exciting is what's going to be on that fabric, I find, because like I hate to be constrained to one medium. I haven't found my style yet, don't get me wrong, but I would hate to, if I'd just done watercolor, then that's all I can do. And I'm like, no, let me be free. Let me do it all. So yeah,
I'm just so gutted, because I used to have a batik set, and my parents bought it for me on my 13th birthday. And I remember sitting around on my birthday, and all of my friends were at the house, and we were sitting outside, and my parents had just given me this box, and I'd opened it, and I was so excited, and all of my friends were like, what the hell is that? Like, obviously seeing this wax pot and then wax and then these little sticks, and they were like, who? You're 13. What are you asking for? What is that? Like, what are you doing? And they're like, what 13-year-old asked for a batik set? Like, out of all of the things you could have asked for in the whole entire world, that's what you asked for, Luke. But that's one thing I'm so gutted. I really need to get a new one of those, because I feel like that medium, like, could make my mind blow. Like, the things that I feel like I could develop on that, just because it's kind of like a mix of using watercolor as wax, and then I'm going straight onto fabric. And then it's like what I can do after that with tie-dyeing or dyeing or silk painting. It's like, it's so exciting what could happen from there. So that's my next step. That's what I need to get.
And now this is my absolute favorite. What if there was no money obstacle, no geography getting in your way, no bureaucracy? What would be the dream?
I think it would definitely, like I say, developing this textile and then having like some sort of exhibition in a space. It would probably be in East London, to be honest. And just kind of like just allowing people to kind of, I would want the work to be tangible, to be honest. And I don't know how that would really work, but like having a massive white space where like loads of like the drapery would hang and suspend, that you could kind of walk through, rather than it being stuck to the wall. And like it can maybe touch you or brush past you, so you kind of feel like you get an essence of the work being part of you. Like I went to go and see the Gustav Klimt exhibition, the editorial one. It was in Malaga. Oh my God, it was insane. Like just the way that art has been laid out as a digital.
It's incredible.
It was just wonderful. Like you just went in there and sat, and you could be in there for hours. But it was like, even though you couldn't touch, it was still a tangible experience.
Yeah, I must say for me, my most phenomenal experience was the Alexander McQueen at the V&A. I went 5 times.
Oh my God, it was insane.
Every time I came out feeling like I either wanted to throw up or I had a headache.
Yeah.
I was so moved from the beginning of that. And for that man to have passed at the age that he passed, I cannot believe he created that. And like you say, it like you can't touch it, but it felt to me kind of like what you want to encapsulate a little in your show, where it's so interactive and curated, where you walk through it all. Yeah, that's awesome.
But I remember, because we, at my old salon, we actually used to do Katie England's hair. So that was wild for me, because I was like, you were so close to McQueen. Wow. And like now I'm touching you, and I don't want to fangirl about this situation, but I kind of have to fangirl about the situation, because it was just such an amazing thing. I remember, because it was in New York first, I think, and I remember I just missed out on it. And then I was like, it kind of bypassed me, and I was like, oh my God, I really want to go and see Savage Beauty. Like, I want to see it so bad, but I'm not going all the way to New York when I've just missed it and just come back from there. And then when I found out it came into London, I went to a night screening of it. And I remember just even walking in, and you walk into the start, and then you hear the voices of his teachers talking about how he was as a student. And from that moment, you're like, oh my God, why am I so emotional about this situation right now? I didn't even know you. Like, I'm already sucked in. I'm drawn in. I don't even need to see your clothes. I already know so much about your backstory, but this is something new, a new element that I'm being drawn into. And it was just sensational. Yeah.
Every piece was like, even just, I would love to just kiss the curator's feet.
Well, I also met her too. She used to come to my salon too.
Oh, you're still fangirling for you hard right now. Oh, I just want to touch her. I'm like, how did you? Because that room full of like square niches where there's that big fine skirt. Every time I went back there, I became a member of the museum.
No way.
Because they were selling tickets at 40 quid each, and they were completely sold out. But you could become a member of the museum for £75 that day and walk into the thing. And you could,
Way.
and I was like, are you guys doing the maths properly? Because I'm saving £5 and I can come back repeatedly. And they're like, yeah. Like, I won. They're like, yeah. I was like, okay. So I went back 4 more times. Come on, guys. It's phenomenal. That's why I think curation is so important. And like, we have our gallery, which I'm very hopeful that you'll come and do an exhibition with us, because we're really and you know, come and hang out with us a bit before you're epically famous, darling. You know. But yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left. But to be fair, you've kind of answered everything for me. I've had an absolutely phenomenal morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And guys, please go and look out and follow an Altered State on our Instagram story. All the artwork on there today is from Luke's page. But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to know you at the beginning of this. And thank you so much for the insight today. It's been a real pleasure to get to know why you're doing it. So thank you so much. But yeah, guys, if you have any questions for Luke, let me know and I'll pass them along. And other than that, just have a great day. Thank you so much.
Have a good day too. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.